Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is create a machine hem. A machine hem is going to hold fabric down like this at the end of the process. The first thing we wanna do is fold it over a 1/2 inch. On our seam gauge, it's going to be, this is a whole inch where, can you see? Where the cut in of the seam gauge is. We're gonna slide this blue slider to the 1/2 inch. It's 4/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit longer on the silver line. That's your 1/2 inch. We're gonna fold this edge down. And right now I'm just kind of guessing or eyeballing, and then I'm gonna use my seam gauge, and the majority of my seam gauge is hanging off the fabric, and I'm gonna see if I've folded over a 1/2 inch of fabric. And it looks like I'm pretty close. Okay, once I know, I'm gonna slide across. I'm gonna grab a pin and pin the flap down. And sorry if my hands are in the way. There's not much to pin, so you just gotta be really careful with your pins. So then I'm gonna slide over a little bit more, line it up, grab another pin, and pin all the way across. It's exactly a 1/2 inch. Okay, as I'm pinning, notice that my pins are perpendicular or crossing the line when we're sewing. This side is correct. The fold is lined up right along the edge. Those two edges of the fabric are lined up together. This is incorrect. This would not be a 1/2 inch, and the line of the edge of the fabric is not lined up. So you would unpin, line up the edges, double check with your seam gauge, and make sure to pin pretty close to the edge of that last piece of fabric. All right, we're gonna use the iron. Make sure it's on and plugged in. You should have some heat. Our pins are here. We do not wanna iron over these plastic parts of the pin. You just wanna iron over the metal part. And we are trying to create a crease or a fold for our machine hem. Now you are going to go back to your table and you are going to create the next fold. Okay, you are going to remove the pins now that they are not needed, but you would be at your table. And we're going to fold another time. And this time it's going to be a whole inch. So I'm gonna take my seam gauge, I'm gonna move the blue down to where it says 1. And it's not gonna be on the 1, it's gonna be the line right after the 1 next to the cut in part of the seam gauge. Okay, so I'm gonna eyeball it, and I didn't fold over enough, so I'm gonna slide my fabric a little bit. And now I can see that my fold is 1 inch. I'm gonna grab a pin. I'm gonna carefully pin it. And that first one, the first pin is really close to the edge, and my fabric is lined up nicely, and that prior fold is folded up in there. And I'm gonna go all the way across, pinning like I did before. Okay, you would now double check all the way across to make sure it's 1 inch, and then iron, being sure to iron over both folds, the inside fold and the outside fold. Leave your pins in and repeat this process with another piece. I happen to have 2 matching pieces, the same fabric. You may not have the matching pieces, but we also didn't talk about, this was the wrong side of the fabric, and this is the right side of the fabric. So notice that my fold is that way. To complete our machine hem, we are going to sew the inside fold down. I have threaded my machine with red thread, a bobbin, and a spool. They both match, they're the same color. However, they're not the same color as my fabric, and I'm just doing that for educational purposes so you guys can see. When you do your project, make sure you pick a thread that's either white or one that matches your project. So I am going to line the presser foot, the left side of the presser foot, along the inside fold, like so. Okay, and then I am going to go forward a couple stitches, back stitch, and I'm going to sew along the edge, watching the edge. Then I'm going to back stitch all the way to the end. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to sew until I get to a pin. I'm going to stop, pull my pin out, put it in the pin cushion, and continue sewing. I'm watching right here. I'm not watching where the needle's going in. Some of you may need to stop. But I'm just gonna go ahead and sew all the way across until I get to the end, making sure to back stitch. I go all the way to the end, hold the back stitch, and then come forward, lift up my presser foot, pull out the fabric, and I have created a machine hem. Notice that my fold is held down, the folded fabric is caught inside there, and then if you look over on the back side, if it was white or yellow, you would not be able to see it very well, but it's nice and straight. You'll repeat this process on this piece as well, and don't forget to trim your extra threads.